What's up, you guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Yuri Choi. I'm a performance coach and an author. I work with different CEOs, leaders, and high-achieving professionals in general. And today, what I wanted to talk about is the importance of boundaries. And I'm going to have more videos on boundaries now, for sure. But today I want to start having this discussion because as a spiritual person, one thing that I really had an internal conflict about is really understanding that we are all connected, we are all one, and also simultaneously honoring our boundaries and why that becomes even more important as we start to discover who we really are, become more comfortable and confident in ourselves. So let's talk about all that. So recently, and I know this seems like a little bit off topic, but I promise it'll go back to what I'm talking about. Recently, I was reading this book called Song of the Cell. And it's actually, biology and cells. This is like so far from my comfort zone, which is why I started reading it. But it's so interesting because all the answers we're ever looking for in life can be found in nature. And it was so interesting because as I'm reading this book, I'm having an aha moment about boundaries that seems so unrelated. So let me tell you, even each cell has like a cell membrane. And this is actually so that each cell can commit to the role that it's playing within an organism, within ourselves, within other animals or whatever. So it's actually really important for these cells to be able to stay true to what they're supposed to do in this organism so that they can function well. Because what happens when a cell starts to do something that it's not functioned to do, it becomes cancerous, it becomes a disease, or it becomes some kind of mutation that doesn't serve the organism. So it's really crucial that each cell stays true to its purpose, to its mission, right? Now, one thing that they talked about is this: each cell has a cell membrane, which is probably something we all learned back in school, but also the membrane is breathable. And I think this is also important as we set our boundaries, which is that it gets to be breathable. It's not like an electric fence, like if someone hits it, you're going to be like, ah, and freak out, but it's about keeping it breathable and somewhat flexible. So it can actually, you can let things out when it's not serving you, but also you can take it in. So I think this is also important to remember, is that our boundaries get to be breathable. It gets to be a place where where basically, why do these cells have cell membranes? Because there gets to be a distinction between when that cell ends and the other cell starts. This is true with our individual, human being. We get to know what our mission is on this earth, which I see as a giant organism. And it's also crucial that we stay in integrity to that role and keeping a safe, energetic space around us so that we can actually be committed to that role. But also, it allows us to know where we end and the other, person begins, right? Because we have our physical body, but we also have an energetic body. So we know where our physical body ends because it's pretty clear with our skin, right? But where does our energetic body end? And this is how we can actually set the boundaries. Anyway, so it's so important for cells to be staying committed to what that role is by having these breathable, membranes. For us, having breathable boundaries would look like, I know what I'm about, and I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure, like that is the safest boundary to have. And yet, keeping it a little bit breathable, being open for feedback, and filtering it through your own membrane. You're not taking every feedback and changing everything about you, but you get to be able to receive criticism, be able to receive feedback to the point where you can kind of say, okay, this may have some nutrient into it. Let me feel into it, and then you can spit it back out if it doesn't serve you. So having that breathable membrane, I think, is really powerful. And also for us as society, as the earth as a giant organism, if we can actually stay true and feel safe in our membrane and our boundaries, we can actually function better and we have a better time committing to our soul mission. So, it's so interesting how there's all these similar patterns within the micro version of us, within our cells, as well as the bigger version of us, which is, us and our human beings. Also something that you get to remember, and this always comes up with, my clients, is that as they start to become clear about who they are, become comfortable in who they are, learn about, like my clients called it, like an energetic spine. So they start to build this energetic backbone because they know they're clear about their values. They're clear about what they stand for. They're clear about their mission. They become more confident. It becomes like a point of magnetism. And this is all fun and games until you start to magnetize all sorts of stuff. Now, this sounds magical, but in reality, when you start to attract so many different opportunities, different people, all that, actually what gets to be even more important is how can I create this breathable membrane so that I only let in what's nutritious, like a cell. Not everything that is around us, not every opportunity is going to serve us. And we get to remember that. This is when we get to filter out and keep our energetic boundaries safe. Because it's not that other cells are bad. It's not that we need to create a separation from other cells. Because at the end of the day, we are all connected. We are all a part of the earth, the earth being like a giant organism, and we all need each other. We're all interconnected. But at the same time, we get to be honest about the fact that what is going to nourish us the most is what's nutritious and good for us. So start to think about that. What does genuinely nourish you? What is nutritious for your soul? What is good for you to keep within your membrane? If not, can you keep it outside? And I mean, there's so many layers to this because then all the other stuff is going to start to come out, like your people-pleasing behavior. So for me, the number one step is becoming so clear about who you are. You're so certain about who you are, you become this point of magnetism. And then the second step is, oh, wow, now that I'm clear what serves me and doesn't serve me, I also get to really create and honor these boundaries to make sure that what I keep close to me is actually nutritious for me and nutritious for my soul. So that's the second layer. And then the third is learning, because we don't actually have these like cell membranes like cells do. What we get to utilize is through our action and through conscious communication, we can start to create and honor these boundaries. And this is something that I, help my clients with so that they can not only understand where their energy gets to end so that they can keep safe and they can keep true to their, soul mission, but also doing it in a safe way so that your cell membrane, your boundaries don't become an electric fence and like buzzes everyone that gets near it, because it's going to kill other cells, and that's not good either. How can we create this harmonious environment where we get to keep what's ours and then also keep what's not ours out, but in a safe way? So, one thing I will say, even though I can't go into everything on this one video, is really starting to think about, like, you can't control like what's outside of yourself, period. A lot of times when people think about boundaries, I don't know about y'all's, but this has come up with my clients as well as within myself when I first started really practicing this, is first letting go of the people-pleasing tendencies, but also realizing that you can't control them. Your boundaries are not there to control other people. The only thing the boundaries are doing is really communicating, hey, this is where my energy ends and this is where you start. And let's keep that agreement. It's essentially an agreement that you're creating with them, an energetic agreement, and saying, please, stay out of that, because if not, I'm going to have to go over here. That's what a cell would do. Hey, if you start to like permeate too much into my cell membrane, I'm going to just migrate over here. And that's all we get to do. So, because if not, you become the cancer cell, right? Because you become violent, you start to kill other cells or, attack other cells. That's also not healthy for the environment of the organism. So, to remember that it's okay to feel connected to all beings around you, And also, it's okay for you to know and honor and communicate where your energy ends and their energy starts. And also that boundaries are not about controlling other people. It's about you knowing who you are enough, knowing what makes you safe enough, and then saying, this is what I'm going to honor, and I hope you honor it too. If not, I'm going to just move over here. So I hope that helped. I mean, for me, this whole boundary setting took me a lot of work because I don't think it's as easy as it sounds. However, I did make it easier for my clients. And it's so powerful when I start to see my clients, really start to honor the boundaries in a way. At first, it's gonna, and that's another thing I want to say. When we first start honoring our boundaries, it's gonna feel weird because the very reason we weren't honoring our boundaries before was because of our people-pleasing tendencies. And we don't have to feel guilty. We don't have to feel shameful. So just know that also initially when we start practicing honoring our boundaries, there's going to be a part of you that feels either shameful or even guilty or feel bad. I'm all about making sure that we feel good, right? But of course, when we are changing our behaviors or when we're doing something that's outside of our comfort zone, it's going to feel uncomfortable. And that's also okay because it's temporary. It's you practicing into becoming who the version of you that's really going to support your long-term success and well-being. And happiness, right? So just know that if there's initial shame or guilt that come up, that's exactly why you haven't been honoring your boundaries. Let that be okay. Feel into the discomfort of that. And I still feel this sometimes as I practice new boundaries or in new ways. The other day, actually yesterday, I, decided that like a few days a month, like at least one day a month, I'm going to plan nothing. I'm going to plan nothing. And this is a day for me to do whatever the heck I want. This is a day for me to get creative or just do nothing or do something that feels exciting in that moment. It helps me stay really present, helps me stay really creative. So anyway, I decided to do this. And then I got all these invitations to do different things. And some of them were really cool things. And it would have meant a lot for my friends as well. But like I made this promise to really honor what I know is going to support me. So I really had to be like, no. And it's weird, right? Because the past version of me been like, well, you're not doing anything. So why would you say no? Don't you feel bad about that? But I know that this is what I needed. So I had to like really just make that important enough. So of course, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm saying no, yet they're inviting me to this thing and it sounds really cool or important or supportive. And can I, in that moment, make my needs, my commitment to myself even more important? And there's a part of me that feels a little bit selfish, but I can tell you, it's really supporting my best self to come out because I've gone the rest. I've gone to reflect. I've gone, I ended up just feeling really good in the day, creating the day as I go, which is exactly what I needed, which is why, I set that time aside. So just know that, like, make that be okay. Let that be okay if you start to honor your boundaries for the first time. And I had to do this so many times, like lean into what's uncomfortable to continue to honor what I know is best for me. So yeah, I'm kind of curious, like what's landing for you guys. And I wonder, what kind of questions you guys have around boundaries. By the way, I am actually headed to dinner soon, so I'll be leaving soon. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below and I'll get back to them a little bit later tonight or tomorrow. And also, any questions around boundaries, any questions about building confidence or really like learning how to know what you're made of, which is, like I said, step one, feel free to comment below. I do have a group coaching program that's coming up in June. So I'll tell you more about this on another video because I do have to run. But if you are curious, feel free to DM me Dragon. That's just like a spirit animal that's been popping up lately below, or feel free to message me on Instagram and I will get back to you guys on that. It's called Rebirth. It's really this initiation and activation into an abundant reality. And I'm really excited for it. So feel free to let me know. Other than that, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. beautiful evening, day, wherever you are, and sending you so much love. See you later.